That's the way they all became the Brady Bunch. The Brady Bunch. The Brady Bunch. That's the way they became the Brady Bunch.
Generate the flocking
And
behavior.
that's where the money
And
goes.
The whole thing isn't maybe there's nobody's going to even try it. You know, it's not a movement. It's everyone just. It's the result of the interconnectivity.
Yeah.
You know, no, you don't even have to.
It's like
try to get people to.
But what about all those tribes bumping into each other? I mean, what about all those primal tribes? That
Well, I mean,
don't
maybe
disagree?
we're still connected to the other. You know, we're still connected. That the little tribes are connected. You're always bumping into each other just as much as your body cells would be. So maybe that would be different. I'm just speculating as to what would make it non-fighty, but still fragmented. You know, like a really functioning like a body.
There might be some healthy competition like tribes used to have, if you think of it this way.
Yeah, healthy competition, sure.
Oh yeah, I see it coming.
It's already.
And I'll refer to the old. This thing has been talked about in these this global tribe mentality. It was waiting for the day to catch up. You talk about technology shaping reality. That this is it. This is the next. This is the echoing of the original tribal dynamics. Nothing really is going to be here except for the forms and the hardware. But the consciousness, the dynamics that are involved are going to be very primal and natural. It's going to be a return to the natural way of being more, and we're going to start being prejudiced to which technology we let in the door, because some technologies do not promote communal and connecting values. They don't promote sustainable ways of being. They just don't.
So I just pictured happening. So you have humans form tribes, right? And they're far enough apart not to engage each other, and within their tribes, they're close enough together to be networked to each other, right? And so conflict comes into being when tribes that don't really network with each other bump into each other throughout history, right? And so as more and more people got,
not necessarily.
The Earth got more and more crowded, but we didn't have the capability to network to the size of the organism had been growing too big to be networked enough to feel like a body, and now the technology is finally catching up to our population levels to make us feel like a tribe, and then we'd start acting in the same harmony that a tribe would. Not all problems are gone, but you're not having this global conflict anymore. You're having neighborhood conflicts, but they're existing on a global scale because of the very recent, very new emergent networking technology, to where we all know what everyone else on the entire globe is doing, so we don't feel like they are separate from us.
Yeah. For the most part, we'll be like
it's harder to not think of them as people.
Yeah.
Right.
It'll be like an ecology where most things, they kind of all depend on each other and they all live together, and on occasion they scruff up a little bit and have fights, but it's no longer a giant systemic fight where one half of the world is battling the other, because if it was doing that, that would be too destructive.
I want to jump in real quick and say McLuhan in Understanding Media in like the 1960s was talking about the same thing, the global village, that's where that term comes from and all that. But he also spoke about how nomadic tribes would end up being information gatherers. And so you would have a tribe that goes out and collects and gathers information and brings it back to the group. And each person was almost like a kind of totem pole. They would have a sort of area, an info gate area, and they would intercept all of the information and then come back to the group. And so as long as we have that, as long as we can provide that, hunters and gatherers, as long as we can provide editing in that fashion and be responsible to the tribe, I think it can be extremely successful and just flat out beautiful.
Definitely. That's sort of what bloggers do already on a very small scale. They go out, they literally harvest information and bring it back to their small community.
The problem, of course, is that if it's just information and just knowledge, there's not wisdom.
Oh, yeah.
To support and guide that, and if it's just intellect and not love, the tribe actually needs to be a family in a very real, substantial way, and it has to, I don't know, it has to be, there has to be a physicality to it. If it's too virtual, it's too much avatars speaking to other avatars about information. It's complacency.
So I think this is just in a good direction, though. We're all talking to each other's real faces, I think, and you know, it's becoming like the physical and the virtual are kind of becoming ambiguous. I mean, in the spirit of the new sphere and all of that, it's like reality and thoughts are kind of merging. So they're both valid, but one thing that comes to mind is just as much as the ancient hunter-gatherers made the world sacred and had a very, very complex spirituality that was deeply rooted in Gaia and the earth and so on and so forth. I guess the question is, how do we do that in the 21st century? What is the equivalent of that this time around the spiral? Making the world sacred and what we do sacred.
Well, I think it begs the question of what is the difference between wisdom and intellect, or what is the difference between wisdom and pure information?
Wisdom is putting the information and connecting the dots. The information is the dots. Okay. So if you can't draw a picture with the information, you don't have any wisdom. And
it's like left brain, right brain balancing. We get the data, we organize it, and we find some kind of meaning in it.
Right.
And that's
wisdom has the uncanny ability to keep out the machine. That was
it's like the pan-sophic principle that wisdom is in everything, and that there, information, if it has meaning, it's because there's some conveyance of wisdom.
Is someone getting names right now?
That was me, yeah.
John's having multiple conversations.
No, someone just attacked me with a barrage of aims. I'm trying to minimize them.
Multitask away.
But
no,
what are we talking about?
I mean, I think what you were saying is avoiding the machine, like how wisdom avoids mechanistic behaviors, basically.
Oh.
It really...
Yeah,
it gets to that organic principle.
I think. Well, I've heard McKenna say it, that human beings, given the opportunity, they'll fall into predictable patterns where they do become mechanized in a sense. They become parrots of the language. That these new evolving language organisms in the fourth dimension. I say fourth dimension because we can't see them with our physical senses, but we know they're there with practices and sacred tools, but we also have a mind which is invisible, non-local. Everybody buys into that. Buying contradiction going on with the can I even say the layman or woman's perception on language, on forms, on what's real and what's not, and including invisible dimensions, stealth dimensions. We all have access to it. I mean, we all have this invisible organism called mind. Let's be honest with ourselves, and there might be more than just our mind out there and operating in this stealth sea, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, the non-local
in those
mind.
things, those invisible organisms do have influences on our physical reality. This is what shamanism tells us, what some of the Eastern traditions promote us. All the traditions of the world, except for the Western